Hey guys, Brett Tremblay with Get Staffed Up back with another episode of Candid Convos. And today I'm very honored to have a special guest. He's a friend, a fellow attorney, and really has a fascinating story that I haven't been able to ask him about yet in full details. And so I'm excited to see where our conversation goes today. But it's Luis Scott from Bader Scott, one of the biggest personal injury law firms in, if not all of Georgia, the United States. Their growth has just been mind-boggling and incredible. And now Luis has gone on to other things, podcasting and videos and some personal branding, which I want to ask him about as well. And Luis, thanks for joining us today, man. Very excited to have you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, me too, man. And I know that was kind of a quick intro, so tell us more about yourself.
Like you mentioned, my name is Luis, and I am the managing partner and COO of Bader Scott Injury Lawyers here out of Atlanta, Georgia. And we have 5 offices and throughout the state. We have about between contractors and employees, somewhere it fluctuates depending on the season and how many cases are coming in, but anywhere between 140 and 165 employees and contractors that work for the business. We represent thousands of people every year. I think this year we'll have reached the 10,000 lead mark with 10,000 people calling into our office. So super excited about reaching that number. But I also co-own with my business partner Seth Bader a consulting company. It's called A Figure Firm Consulting, and we do consulting primarily for law firms.
Interesting. Okay, so let me unwind that for a second. So, Bader Scott, how many lawyers are you guys up to now? How many lawyers do you have?
So we have 30 lawyers right now. We're probably a couple lawyers understaffed, but we will. Our hope by the end of 2021 is to be around 45.
By the end of 2021?
End of 2021. Yep.
Got it. Yeah. So you guys, you're so obviously then you're settling pre-suit, you're settling in the middle of the suit, and you've got a trial team, right? You guys are probably in trial all the time with that many lawyers.
I wish more often, but with COVID, it really held us back because the courts were closed. So we had to put a lot of cases in the back burner. And once they started kind of accepting new filings, we started doing that. And so we do have a lot of cases in the litigation pipeline, but the majority of the cases are settling pre-suit for the most part.
Yeah, like for example, in Miami, I think it's now 98% of cases settle before trial. I don't know if you guys are about the same.
It's a similar thing. Like we settle before trial, even when you request, to go to court if you file a lawsuit. Many times they're going to settle before trial too. So that's kind of like the what happens for the most part.
So, do you guys have a go-to case? Like, are you known for motorcycle accidents, boating accidents, semi-truck accidents, slip and falls, catastrophic, or is this you like you want to be known for every type of injury?
I mean, ideally, we would love to be able to say that we specialize in all kinds of injuries, and we do take the majority of injury cases. But our bread and butter is a work accident or a car accident. So like I hate to say run of the mill, but when you've done 10,000 of these in a year and thousands of them these over 20 years, because I've been in the legal industry 20 years, the run of the mill, by that I just mean kind of like your standard cases that come about
Sure.
through the normal course of life. So we just really we focus on work injuries, and we focus on car accidents. That would be the two primary areas.
Okay. Now, again, our audience is mostly attorneys, and so we put this all over our social media. And like, if I'm sitting there listening to this and say, "Holy cow, this is a huge firm," I, let me ask the questions that I would want someone to ask, right?
Sure.
So you guys have 10,000 leads. Does that mean like what your sign up percentage out of that has to be super high? I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we unfortunately, because of COVID, we missed the mark this year, but our anticipated rolling 12-month signups is more than 4,000, but under 6,000. And it just, I think outside of COVID, we probably would have signed about 5,500 new clients this year. But we're going to be closer to the 4,000 rate this year.
Wow. Yeah, that's no wonder you have such a huge staff. You're going to need 165 people
Yeah,
to run those cases through.
of course.
And so what about the marketing? Different types of law firms have very different types of marketing. This is not to me a sweeping, like, oh, here's what you do as a law firm, because
Yeah.
how you're marketing to boomers, if you're doing estate planning, is different than how you're marketing for injury. So what have you guys found that works? How are you able to fill the pipeline with that many leads?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. I think that the marketing conundrum is what a lot of people are trying to figure out, right? The majority of the people that I talk to, whether I'm consulting them, working with them one on one, they want to know about marketing. They always want to get right to marketing, and because the belief is if I can market correctly, then I'm going to have clients. But I think it's deeper than that. I really think that your organization grows to the level of your leadership, and I don't say that in a prideful way. I think that we have a lot of great leaders. We've hired a lot of great leaders in our business. But the better leadership you have, the better you can systematize your business in a way that is capable of receiving those cases, right? Is capable of managing the type of people that you need in order to like effectively represent that many cases. So I think it needs to really start. Your marketing really starts with leadership. It starts with vision. It starts with having mission and core values that your business lives by. And I think many businesses they just gloss over that because they think that that's a waste of time. They think having a vision statement or a mission statement or core values is a waste of time for generating leads. But I actually think it's the foundation for generating leads. It's figuring out what is it that you're trying to accomplish, how are you going to accomplish that, and then what are the boundaries you're going to set for your employees to making sure that you have a positive impact on every single client. So those are the foundational principles. Now when it comes to marketing's very very easy in my opinion, and that is you have to interrupt the person's day, right? Because like people want to not be bothered. I've been in the mall and the person is trying to sell you the perfume at one of those little kiosk things, or they're trying to
Right.
get you to
Yeah.
buy they don't realize I don't have a lot of hair. Like I don't need the curling iron, right? Hey, your wife wants this. Like nobody wants to be bothered, but in marketing, you have to be able to interrupt people and you have to be able then to engage them with meaningful content, like what you're doing right now, engaging them with meaningful and valuable content. And then you have to be able to deliver on the promise that you've made. All of this comes down to messaging. That's what it really is all about. And so the types of marketing that we do is really what you find throughout the entire business world, right? It's not anything special. It's TV, it's radio, it's billboards, it's social media, it's online, it's AdWords, it's pay per click, it's lead generation, it's referral marketing, it's building relationships and networking. But we do it in a way that the messaging interrupts, engages, and then provides value to the client.
So there's a lot to unwind there. This could definitely be an hour long podcast just on what you started with, which is mission, vision, core values. Starting to speak my language, and that's no surprise. You and I have known each other for several years. That we would share that philosophy. For example, if I started Trembly personal injury law in Atlanta tomorrow, and I just went out and spent the exact same amount of money that you guys do, for example, dollar for dollar, it would crash and burn, because what is the message behind the marketing? Like
Right.
what do you stand for as a business? And does your receptionist sing the same song as your paralegal, even in a different part of the state, even though they may never see each other? That all has to do with company culture, which comes back to the mission and the core values. And so look, that's getting a little bit deep, I think, for a 15-20 minute conversation.
Yeah.
I could not agree with you more, but let me ask you anyway, even though it is a little bit deep. I have yet to figure out really, now that I'm thinking about it off the top of my head, how to articulate why the mission and the vision and the core values, your company culture, how that so effectively translates over to marketing. Because I could just say, Trembly injury, like we fight for the injured. People just, if I interrupted their day, for example, they wouldn't really like think, oh, but that wasn't a message that I want to hear. But as soon as the receptionist picks up the phone, that's where the differentiators start, right? That's
Right.
where you totally separate yourselves in the experience that people have. But do you have a way of articulating, why that's so important?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So our vision is to inspire hope and empower people, one client, one family, and one community at a time. And the way that that connects to the marketing message is that our the words we're talking about copy, right? When we talk about copywriting, they say that the best copy is the copy that leaves a person with curiosity, right? So curiosity is the key to really good content, to really good messaging. And so the question is, does the words that are coming out of my mouth, not to quote the movie Rush Hour, right? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Like, are the words that are being said in the radio spot, in the TV commercial, on the billboard, are they resonating by creating curiosity as to how we actually inspire, as to how we actually
Yeah.
provide empowerment and hope for the client, for the family, and the community? So I think that that's how your vision really ties in to the marketing message. Are you inspiring people and empowering them through your messaging? And I think that we spend a lot of time figuring out and crafting the words. And I can't take full credit for this. My business partner Seth, he is a magician at he's a wordsmith when it comes to creating messaging, and he believes that every word really has a powerful meaning to it. Like, even the way that you say "and," or the way you say all of that means something. And I think too many times we let our marketing teams just create things without the understanding of the full power of the word that we're actually saying. And so I think that the reason that vision and mission is so powerful is because what you're going to deliver in your message comes directly from your vision and mission.
Yeah.
You do that, it becomes a powerful combination.
Absolutely. And it is a challenge to make sure that your mission, your vision, your core values, and your differentiators or your uniques make their
Yes.
way back into the marketing, right? Because you've got a huge marketing department. So they've got to get into your social media. They have to get into your newsletters. You constantly reinforce. Like, for example, Get Staffed Up. Our mission is to liberate lawyers with incredible offshore talent, or
Mhm.
sometimes we say staff. And I think our business grows so quickly on referrals within the legal community because we're not just like XYZ staffing. Like, we live, eat, and breathe helping lawyers figure out a way to, as we say, delegate their way to freedom. I
Of
mean,
course.
you've got, imagine trying to run, all the marketing you guys did with one person, and if it was
Right.
all coming out of you, like, it's just not possible. And
Yeah.
very few people are going to ever get to the level of a law firm that you have, which is fine. I don't think you and I sit here saying it's the only way to go. It's the only way you're going to be happy.
Sure.
There's lots of ways to be happy, but I can also say that people that have the one paralegal that's like receptionist, paralegal, like do everything, assistant, that there's so many ways to stop being overworked for yourself and that one person. And if you say you're truly
Mhm.
happy, you're lying to yourself. I
Right.
mean, as harsh as that may be. And we're trying, obviously, to help people learn that it's okay to delegate. And our
Of
our
course.
differentiator just happens to be that you can do it for a little bit cheaper and not have the stress of that overhead. So yeah, totally with you on the core values, man. I love that conversation. I know it's pretty heavy in the entrepreneur circles. So okay, next subject then. Let me kind of move on here. What is maybe changing in personal injury law or workers comp? Like, what is coming up for you guys in the next 5 years that you're kind of maybe either dipping your toes in yourselves, or keeping an eye out for, to see what kind of changes may come your way?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the self-driving electric cars is something that people have on their radar. How is that going to affect car accident rates? How's that going to affect injury rates, and how is that going to affect the industry? That's always a consideration. Are people getting injured the way that they used to?
So and thank you for sharing that. What about team building? What is your philosophy? Because good people don't grow on trees. I'll tell you that. It's very hard to find people that are what you would consider a great employee. And I know for a fact that if you have a mission and core values, that makes a huge difference. But what do you guys find has been successful for you?
I have found that having vision, mission, values, I keep going back to that, and I don't want to like beat that dead horse or anything like that. But vision, mission, values helps you really identify what is a key employee, what is the employee that would be a great asset to the business. And I think also having a training and development team helps. We do training and development here in house. We have a completely dedicated training and development department to really helping newer people to the legal field, or people who don't have the experience, really develop themselves. And so I think that's very critical. But for me, finding the right talent and the right staff to really help us in this business has not been that challenging, only because we have become very clear on our vision, mission, and values, and we've created a very interactive hiring funnel. What I can say is that sometimes to find that talent, you do have to pay a lot more than you wanted to, because the best talent in the area, especially law firms like ours, where we're limited geographically to a state because of licensing issues. Many times we have to find people in the state
Mhm.
to help us, and so that makes it a lot more challenging for us. We don't have the resources to hire, and so we have looked. I know Get Staffed Up does a lot of work with helping people find good employees, and I think that we've even looked into that because of the fact that it's really hard to find people outside of the state, because we're not built for that. We're only built to
Yeah.
find people in the state, and to find people in the state can be challenging in the right price point for sure.
Yeah, we make the analogy on some of the CLEs that we've been doing around the country is basically, traditionally you have your office location in about a 15-mile radius, and you have to find good people in that radius. But now with the internet and with Zoom and everything else, you can open up to a whole world of talent. I mean, people all
Absolutely.
over the world who are happy, want to work hard, they're energetic, and they're well educated. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's a total, for attorneys may not work. You got to have somebody licensed, obviously, in the state, but for staff and otherwise, it's definitely a different world post COVID.
Of
Um,
course. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree
yeah.
with you.
So look, there's so much more we could talk about, Luis, but we try to keep these things short. If anyone listened past, a few minutes these days, like we talked about, attention spans are very short. A lot of people fighting for attention for those relevant interruptions. And I know you're a very busy guy, and so I want to thank you for taking the time to share with us and our audience about growth, and really it's really inspiring to talk to people who are growing. And again, you don't have to be a 160 staffed law firm
Right.
to realize your dreams. That's just the route that you've taken, and it's very impressive.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So tell us real quick though, how can people find you guys?
So they can find me online. I'm on all social media platforms under my name, Luis Scott. My Instagram handle is Luis Scott Jr. They can also find us at baderscott.com. And soon we will have our fully developed eightfigurefirm.com website for our consulting. So stay tuned for that.
I don't want to just end there though, although it was a good soundbite. Who is your target, for like what type of firms are you guys going to consult for? They're gonna
Um,
try to hit the 10 million mark then? Is that the deal?
Yes. So ideally, we're going to be working with firms who have already hit a million and who are having a hard time scaling up. The difference between a million and 10 million is really scale and figuring out how to develop your leadership team and operations. And my love and passion is teaching people on how to develop operational designs in their business, where the business runs for them instead of them working for the business. So
Yeah.
our target audience is going to be law firms a million and up.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have a personal theory on the valley of death. So I think it's 96% of businesses that get over a million never make it to five. There's just,
Yep.
it just dips, like, and people can't figure out why. So I've got my own theories on that, and would love to chat with you about that sometime. But for now,
Absolutely.
Luis, man, I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks again.